So the charity will get their 16 grand, whatever happens.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're looking at times Piers Morgan revealed that he might not be the raving contrarian he plays on TV.
Is homosexuality, in your view,
a sin?
Yeah, according to the standpoint of my faith.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Number 10. ReesMogg.
What are your views on same-sex marriage? Is that something you support?
I'm a Catholic and I take the teaching of the Catholic Church seriously.
Though he lost his seat in his own Portillo moment in 2024, ReesMogg was once tipped as a potential Tory leader and future Prime Minister after rising to prominence on the backbenches. As such, he arrived to talk about his views on Good Morning Britain and was promptly grilled by Piers Morgan for his backward stances on various issues.
I mean, I'm a Catholic, but I actually don't agree with the Catholic teaching.
Well, that's fair enough. You
do.
I support the teaching of the Catholic Church.
So you oppose same-sex marriage?
This was in 2017, and ReesMogg discussed his opposition to same-sex marriage and women's reproductive health care, saying that as a devout and practicing Catholic, he was against all of those things. Morgan countered him though, saying that while he too was a Catholic, he didn't agree with the Catholic Church's stances because he lived in the modern world.
Under UK law.
Yeah, but you wouldn't agree with that, right?
But that law is not going to change.
No, but what's your personal opinion?
My personal opinion is that life begins at the point of conception and abortion.
Number 9. Defending British women.
Your mother's English, right?
Yes, she is.
So does she also qualify as unattractive, stupid, entitled and the rest of it, or is she an exception?
Online dating coach Richard Lawarina appeared on Good Morning Britain to answer to his claims that all women in the UK are rude and ugly, something everybody else on the show, Piers Morgan included, took issue with.
Well, Richard, we have 3 English women here. Are they all fat, entitled, stupid? I mean,
I don't know them.
What's your view of the women?
You don't know them.
He lambasted Lawarina for his stance and said that Susanna Reid, Charlotte Hawkins and journalist Felicity Morse, all in the studio, were proof that he was wrong.
No, let's hear you be brutally honest.
Well, I don't want to be baited into
you're full of this. You've got 3 women.
I've got respect for the women.
You've got no respect for English women.
Lawarina claimed that all attractive women in the UK were actually immigrants from Russia, and that Russia has the most beautiful women in the world. If that's the case, Richard, why not stay in Russia?
And when you're actually confronted by smart, intelligent, beautiful women, you can't deal with them, can you?
Of course I can. I'm dealing with everyone.
Number 8. Boris Johnson.
Swaney, shout at him.
To come on our programme so far.
Swaney, shout at him. Say, come on, Good Morning Britain, Prime Minister, if you get the chance. Give him the full barrels.
It's tricky to tell where Piers Morgan's political allegiance lies, but he's voted for the Tories, Labour and other parties throughout his life, and not made a secret of that. This also makes him well equipped for taking politicians to task on the issues that matter to Britons, without getting bogged down in party lines and ideology, including going after Boris Johnson relentlessly in the run-up to the 2019 election.
Morning, Prime Minister. Will you come on Good Morning Britain, Prime Minister? I've just had a reaction here from one of the minders.
Johnson refused time and time again to appear on Good Morning Britain, even infamously hiding in a fridge at one point.
Right, he's been taken inside, into the freezer.
He's gone into the fridge.
There's a bunker.
Swaney, heroic work, mate.
But although Piers didn't get to interview Johnson in that election cycle, it did show the public that he, as a journalist, was in their corner. Number 7. Richard Page.
But you're not actually supposed to bring in personal religious beliefs to override the judicial oath, are you?
In 2016, a Christian magistrate was dismissed from his job after saying that same-sex parents shouldn't be allowed to adopt. He wasn't just voicing an opinion, though. He'd actually used his position as a magistrate to block couples from adopting, lending to plenty of complaints in the workplace.
Child and is not what
that wasn't the question I asked you. Do you think that being gay is unnatural?
He then claimed that he'd been discriminated against and tried to take it to court, only for the case to be thrown out because of what he'd done. This time...
What is your belief?
But what is wrong is homosexual activity.
Really? Yes.
Piers was on the side of the people who'd sacked him, because in his position as a magistrate, it wasn't up to his religious beliefs to decide that same-sex parents are unfit for no reason other than being same-sex.
I come back to your personal homophobia, which is the reason I think you've lost your job, and it's pretty transparent to me, is that you're basically anti-gay.
Number 6, gun activists.
But I'm more, at this point, place blame on the Obama administration for failing to call this what it is, which...
Being British, it's hard for Piers to wrap his head around America's gun laws, even though he used to live over there. Many times he's brought on pro-gun activists and made it very clear how he feels about the US's gun laws, and that he doesn't understand why anybody would need a gun like the kinds used in mass tragedies.
The Kinder Egg is a complete red herring.
It's a wonder why these activists return to talk to Piers, when he always makes the absurdity of their arguments clear and stresses that in countries with tighter gun laws, incidents like this don't happen. But they still come back, and Piers never hides his stance.
Horrifying and will be discussed. But the fact of the matter is, he had 2 guns.
Number 5, against bigots.
But children know they've got, for instance, a mum and a dad.
Yes.
So, and that's not sexualising children. So why not teach that some children have a mum and a mum, or a dad and a dad?
Somebody else with strong religious views was the anti-LGBT journalist Dilly Hussein, who came to prominence during a controversy around what primary school children were being taught in SRE lessons. Piers came out and said what most sane people watching were thinking, that trying to block these lessons was homophobia, plain and simple.
I think it's driven not so much for the reasons that you say, but it's driven by homophobia.
No,
right?
I know.
Which is not actually that peaceful. It's actually...
The lessons weren't teaching children the ins and outs of adult sexuality, but simply that some kids at their school might have same-sex parents, and that's fine. Despite that, there were massive protests up and down the country decrying the alleged sexualization of children, with none of this based in reality.
They're not talking about sex, are they? They're talking
Well,
about the
it is,
relationship.
because you're subscribing to certain sexual identities.
Number 4, feminism. Though Piers has advocated against things like International Women's Day marches in the past, he's also made it clear various times that he is a feminist.
And I've got some issues with the more radical end of the feminism world, although I personally identify as a feminist in the sense of what it should mean, which is equality for women in all things.
Watch out, you're at war with Anthony Johnson.
In this interview with American pundit Anthony Dream Johnson, one of the speakers at the 22 convention, they locked horns about it. Johnson began by celebrating Piers as a fellow enemy of feminism, only for Piers to come out and say immediately that actually he does identify as a feminist because he believes that men and women are equal and should get equal opportunities and be treated fairly.
At your heart, are you a feminist who believes in equality, or are you against equality?
Are you asking me if I'm a feminist?
Apparently this was too much for the maverick thinkers the 22 convention hired, because he seemed to have a very loose interpretation of what feminism is.
I absolutely support equality before the law for men and women, for everyone.
But that is actually at the heart of feminism. Feminism has been hijacked by
Completely wrong.
many groups.
Fake news.
Number 3, trophy hunters.
I like hunting big game the way I do because it's something that my family has done for a long time and it puts food on our table.
Like gun ownership, Piers has also always been against trophy hunting, as are most people. Some hunters will make the argument that it's necessary to manage populations, but there's a stark difference between that and putting animals like elephants and lions on display.
Unfortunately, I think it's just lack of education. People don't understand the conservation aspects of it. And
in this particular incident, he was horrified at one man who was teaching his 12-year-old daughter about the supposed merits of trophy hunting, visibly appalled to see images of her posing with the bodies of the animals she'd hunted.
In one picture, she's clutching the heart of a giraffe. In others, she seems to be glorifying in the killing of these animals.
Again, they claimed that conservation was part of it, but if that was really true, they wouldn't be taking all those photos, as Piers points out. Number 2, Scottys Little Soldiers.
Susanna?
Yes?
Hi, Jeremy Clarkson here from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
How are you doing? And more importantly, how's Piers getting on?
Few feuds are as legendary as Jeremy Clarkson versus Piers Morgan, so all eyes were on this edition of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, with Morgan as the contestant. After their notorious bust-up on Concord, We never thought we'd see these two getting along, but they did. And it was all for a good cause.
He's floundering around and getting stuck endlessly.
I don't believe that for a moment.
Yes, you do.
Piers did pretty badly on the show, getting to 16,000 but then losing half because he got a question about Formula 1 wrong. But then he went and donated the remaining 8,000 to charity himself, so that they did get the 16 grand.
You had to use me for your insects, which is annoying for Scottys little soldiers because...
Well, it's particularly annoying because you would have got this, obviously, in 10 seconds.
The charity was Scottys Little Soldiers, which works with the bereaved children of armed forces personnel. Number 1. The pandemic.
I don't know why you're laughing. Why are you laughing?
She can't see it.
You said
Well, I'm telling you what it is. It's actually very serious.
It's the mark of a good journalist that Piers generally taps into what the British public thinks, and that was never clearer than during the pandemic, when he was one of very few mainstream pundits to ask the government difficult questions.
Is it true that 4,000 people have died in care homes?
So we have been working incredibly hard.
Various ministers appeared on Good Morning Britain and didn't get the pat on the back that they were expecting, with other outlets going along with the idea that the government was doing everything it could.
Out of interest, what did you find insulting? You said two reasons for the fact we have the worst death.
Piers called them out for their handling of many things, notably the care home crisis when the virus was allowed to run rampant in the UK's most vulnerable populations. It's no wonder there was allegedly a ban on ministers appearing on GMB for months.
I haven't interviewed you since May, so you can come back anytime. It was you that boycotted the programme, right? So please don't play the you haven't given me enough time card, because we gave you 8 months and you didn't turn up.
Let us know in the comments what you think of Piers Morgan.
Sorry. I can't let this go. I'm sorry, Susanna.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.